The conjoined twins who miraculously survived separation surgery, the outcome 2 years later is unbelievable. 2 months after their marriage, Heather and Riley were delighted to learn Heather was expecting their first prenatal. Ultrasound showed that they were having twins. That wasn't a complete surprise. Heather has sisters who are identical twins. The huge surprise that followed, the babies were connected. While reviewing the ultrasound, their doctor noticed that the babies' heads were very close together, so close they might be conjoined. He advised them to see a specialist in nearby Charlotte, NC, and they made an appointment for the following Monday. The specialist confirmed that the twins were joined at the top of their heads, a connection type called craniopagus. Conjoined twins. Craniopagus is the least common type of conjoined twins, accounting for only about 2% of cases. At the point, it was too soon to tell how the babies would develop and whether they might be candidates for separation surgery. It would depend in a large part on whether they shared brain tissue. Their growth would need to be monitored in the periodic ultrasound for the next few weeks. If separation turned out to be a possibility, the specialist recommended the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, CHOP. Doctors at Children's Hospital of Philadelphia had separated 23 pairs of conjoined twins since 1957, more than any other hospital in the Western Hemisphere. That level of experience is what led their doctor to refer the couple there, and it what convinced the couple to put their trust in CHOP. At the 19-week ultrasound, Heather and Riley learned that their twins were girls. The doctor also gave them some hopeful news that the twins did not appear to share any part of their brains, which improved their outlook for separation. Heather had already been in touch with Richard Wood, DR Center for Fetal Diagnosis and Treatment at CHOP, and with the new information, she set up an appointment for the following week. The couple drove the 11-hour two-flight lab. Over 2 days, Heather had a series of tests, including a high-resolution fetal ultrasound, a fetal MRI, and a fetal echocardiogram to look the baby's heart. We met with the genetic counselor, psychologists, surgeons, maternal fetal medicine specialists. Heather recalls, everybody was trying to find the best way to care for our girls when they were born. After all the dozens of meetings, they sat down in conference room with Gregory Here, MD, PhD, a neurosurgeon, and Nahla Khalid, MD, MPH, a maternal fetal medicine specialist. Dr. Here explained that girls had separated brains, but they shared a portion of the main vein that drains blood from the brain during circulation, the sagittal sinus. The fact that it shared a part of this vein added a rest to the separation. He wanted them to understand that there was a possibility that they could lose one of even both their daughters. Though there was still uncertainty and fear, Heather and Riley felt confident. They were in good hands. Abby and Erin were born on July 24, 2016, 10 weeks premature. They each weighed 2 pounds and 1 ounce. They did much better than anybody anticipated, Heather says. The team had been prepared for breathing tubes and all sorts of things for them, but when they were born, they came out crying. The twins were cared for in the newborn and intensive care unit at CHOP. For the next 7 months, nurses worked with Heather to figure out a way to tell them. Though they made an awkward bundle, she and Riley both soon mastered the technique. Once they were born, doctors could get a clearer picture of precisely how the twins were joined. Dr. Here brought in a Jess Taylor, MD, a pediatric plastic surgeon, and his surgical partner. Together, they came up with an approach that would involve a series of procedures. Over the next 5 months, the girls had several more surgeries as steps towards separation, including the placement of tissue expanders below the skin where their hearts were conjoined. Like water balloons, the expanders were gradually filled with a fluid to slowly stretch the skin. The extra skin was needed to cover the gap when the twins were separated. While the surgical team worked in a planet, Heather and Riley and the rest of the medical team took care of the twins, who were growing wonderfully. Over the next few months, they hit all major developmental milestones, rewarding their parents with their first smile in November. The physical and occupational therapy team at CHLP found a creative way to help the twins to continue to develop. Despite being conjoined, one innovation was a specially built swing large enough to hold both girls. It was a major milestone when the twins were released from the newborn infant intensive care unit. After 7 months, they moved a room upstairs in the hospital. For the first time, their parents got take them out into the home and even outdoors. In a blog entry, Heather described the first days of fresh air. It was glorious. Watching their little faces squint at the sunshine on them was a moment I wanted to remember forever. The wind would blow and they would gasp and then smile. On June 6, 2017, more than 10 months after they were born, the girls were separated during an 11-hour surgery. A team of approximately 30 people, including surgeons, nurses, anesthesiologists, and other staff, worked together during this complex, high-risk surgery. Each baby was monitored by a separate anesthesiology team led by Alison Reed, Period, MD, and Matthew Purcell, MD. 3 neurosurgeons worked for hours to separate the blood flow between the two girls. This required raising blood, vessel, and separating their shared dura, the covering of the brain that lies under the skull. They found that the girls did share a small amount of brain tissue, and they separated this as well. More than halfway through the surgery, the team flipped the girls, and the surgeons began the same painstaking process from the other side. As expected, separation of the sagittal sinus, the large vessel that carries blood from the brain to the heart, was the most difficult part of the surgery. After a few very tense hours, with the whole team working to keep the girls alive despite significant blood loss, the girls were finally separated. The time was 8:43 p.m. After the separation, the surgical team divided into two, one for each of the girls. The teams used artificial material to replace missing dura, the thick outer membrane surrounding the brain, and the stretched skin created by expanders was sewn to cover the gap. The hardest work was done, but there were many ups and downs in the weeks after the surgery, as the girls slowly recovered. As soon as their conditions permitted it, and on November 20th, 2017, after 485 days in the hospital, Erin and Abby were discharged to return home to North Carolina just in time for Thanksgiving. Over the next few years, the twins will need additional plastic and reconstructive surgery to replace the missing bone areas at the top of their heads and normalize their hairlines and minimize the scarring. But after spending more than a year at CHLP, their parents are just thrilled to have them home. The girls are inspiring, Heather says. It's very neat for me to be there, Mama, and to be able to have a front row seat to this and watch them overcome these incredible obstacles. We cannot wait to see what their future holds. Now 2 years old, the girls are at home in North Carolina and making amazing progress, with their proud parents right by their sides. They travel to CHLP every 3 months for appointments. Their skulls are incomplete as a result of being separated, and the team is evaluating when it will be the best time to perform surgery to repair the bones. The recovery since then has been so remarkable. The lead surgeons for their separation recently had a paper published for the prestigious New England Journal of Medicine that detailed the novel techniques the team used to configure the girl's skull and tissue before surgery. This approach led to a better, safer surgery and allowed the team to separate the twins when they were younger, all factors that contributed on their recovery.